Donald. Oh boy. Let's get into it. Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Locker Room. I'm your host, Brian Tull, and today we have to talk about Donald Sterling and what's going on with he and the Clippers and his comments he made over the weekend that TMZ reported on. Sorry, they were alleged comments that he made to his girlfriend about minorities and specifically black people and his worldview on what he thought about minorities and specifically black people and how he viewed them and his relationship with them. So I don't know where to start. So Saturday news started leaking out about this tape that TMZ had of Donald Sterling talking to his girlfriend. I'm not gonna bother saying her name because it sounds like she's pretty much another, she's not really worthwhile to refer to as well, because there's some type of issue with the two of them with legal issues behind it. So there's a whole discussion on another side topic if it was a plant and she did it on purpose. Really, I don't care, because when it's all said and done, he made the comments he made. You can check it out on TMZ. Deadspin has an extended version of it. I'll put the links down below so you can listen for yourself and make your own judgment. But from my standpoint, a guy like him, as LeBron James said it so succinctly on Saturday night, there's no place for him in the league. There's no place for him in sports. No place for him heck, I would say no place for him just in society with his mindset, but that's a whole other discussion. But he's an individual in this case for years that the league, and I put this on the league in this case here, I'm not putting this on the players or the coaching staff or anybody else within the organization. This really comes down to the NBA and just having a responsibility to do what's right. And for years they haven't been able to get rid of this guy who bought the team in 1981, and they haven't been able to find a way to get him out of the league. And somehow, some way, they have to find a way to have an exit strategy when it comes to Sterling. But when it's all said and done, the players, I think, will, when it came to the players and their protest, I thought it was fine. I thought it was a good way of showing that they do, that obviously showing what their feelings were, understand the climate, and doing something in this case. I think that was, it made a statement. For folks that were talking about, we should, they should protest this, that, the next thing. I always find it interesting when folks are sitting at home having a nice cup of coffee, in this case, in a warm, cozy house behind a laptop. Everybody wants to become the next Malcolm X or whoever in this case here. When it comes to protests, I'm not saying that a boycott in this case was or was not justified. All I'm saying is that, I respect the decision the players made. My only concern was whether they're going to make a statement, because I think they had to make some statement. I'm fine with what they did. Obviously their heads were not in the game. No disrespect to Golden State, they played great, but you could obviously see just watching them on their rotations, they were just giving up the ball left, right, and center. They had no passion really for at least most of that first half. I think they woke up sometime the second half, but by that time it was too late. Curry was rolling. But I think right now this sits right now with the new commissioner, Adam Silver. He's got to really, he's got to show what he's about right now, because you have a league that's 80% African Americans, and you have an owner in this case talking to this kid with a very plantation mindset behind his comments. That those two just don't work. And we've seen the NBA come up very strident on some other issues when it comes to other social issues, and this here is one that directly affects them in such a personal way. They need to move on this and move on this in a hurry. Get the information they need to get, and make a swift and proper and very aggressive decision. I don't see them having the ability to take away the team from him. I think there's two reasons why I don't think that's the case. One, I don't think it's in the bylaws of the NBA, and I don't think the commissioner has that type of power. Two, I think the governors in this case, the board of governors, which is the other owners in the league, they're watching their own back. Let's call a spade a spade. Everybody's got a little skin in this, and they're making sure that, hey, we don't want to set precedent that, the same commissioner could come and take away our team if we step in it in some way or some fashion. And let's face it, a lot of those guys, not all of them, but quite a few of them are not Saints. We'll see how this all plays out. It's going to be very fascinating on Tuesday at 2 o'clock, Eastern. The commissioner's going to have a statement. I think he'll come down with his ruling on this. It will be fascinating. I think it's going to be an interesting moment in sports and business, how this plays out, especially in this new world now that we have now with social media. In the last 5 or 6 years, where this situation is going to be, I think, a very problematic situation moving forward. Not just for players, and we saw with the Eagles, Riley in this case, the receiver for the wide receiver for the Eagles, that said the N-word. I discussed that as well too in an earlier segment. But I think just around sports, business, wherever the case may be. I mean, especially when you're in a position of power, these type of scenarios might become more problematic. Heck, I live in a city, or the suburbs of a city, where we have a mayor who's been caught on tape multiple times doing all sorts of stuff. So you can see in that circumstance how it's playing out there, as well as in other realms as well too, not just politics, but in sports and business, wherever it may be. So this is going to be a fascinating moment. I am curious to see how the commissioner handles this. We knew how it would be if it's Stern. He'll have his chest puffed out, and he'll a lot of blustering, but I'm sure he'll come down with a very aggressive stance on it. But when it's all said and done, this does lay in light with the NBA, the ownership group, and to some extent the Commissioner Silver, but really Commissioner Stern for keeping this guy around for as long as he did. This was a ticking time bomb. Anybody that's followed the NBA knows hear all the stories about he and former players. He with Elgin Baylor, who's a legend, and had to go to court with him about discrimination. Then you have him with his with Sterling with his properties in this case, where he had to sell out of court due to discrimination and not wanting to rent out the Black and Latino and other minorities as well in his buildings. So this stuff has been going on for a while with him, and finally they have a smoking gun to kind of see if they can start railroading him towards an exit. We've heard rumors of Magic and a consortium, the Guggenheim partners that have put together the bid that was for the Dodgers, are interested in seeing if they can kind of come in. Hey, I don't blame Magic one bit, man. That's on Sterling. He gave Magic the opportunity. As a businessman, he's just doing a shrewd move here to kind of put his name out there that, hey, I'm open to buying the team. I think that would be the perfect scenario for the NBA. Kill two birds with one stone. You get rid of Sterling at one end of it, and the other thing, you get fresh blood. You get someone with a minority face in this case, the kind someone to a pillar or symbol in the NBA, and Magic Johnson. It would be, who's an LA guy. It would be the perfect solution. I don't think it's gonna happen, but that's the way. I think that is like the perfect solution. I think for the owners and Silver to get out of this thing. But you know what? They put. I said before, this hot steaming mess is on their plate and on their front porch. They made the Clippers relevant by strong-arming a deal to the Clippers a couple of years ago. And then obviously that set them up to be a big player. This was the old Clippers that used to win 20 games a season and no one cared about. This probably would be something where they probably could have a quiet exit strategy to get them out. But hey, they're now on the big stage. They have championship aspirations. I picked them to be coming out of the West. And right now, with the West is so up in the air, who knows? But they've set this whole thing in motion. I think the league, and now they gotta find a way to clean it up. I really like the statements that LeBron James made to set the tone on what the players think about this, and to really put the pressure on the commissioner and the league and the office on this. So we'll see what happens. I'm sure I'll be discussing this again later on, unfortunately. But hey, we'll see. We'll get some playoff talk maybe next week. Go Raptors, go Mavericks. Later.